I love to make special cards for special people, and I bet you do too. How about an interactive card with charms and humor with a surprise inside for a special wine lover in your life? Hello, and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Hashik, and in this video, I demo how to use partial die cutting to extend a die and create a humorous interactive card for a wine lover. And I'm also sharing two other holiday cards I made with new dies from Karen Burniston. This video is the third of my series of pop-up cards made with Karen's new dies. And there are links to the other two videos in the description box, as well as links to the new products I used. I'll give you a quick peek and then I'm going to talk about each card. This is a Wishing You Joy card. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas and Christmas blessings. In the second of my series of videos featuring Karen Burniston's new series of dies, I shared how to make a frame pull pop-up, and there's a link to that video demo in my description box. Here is the card I finished with that frame pull pop-up. Wishing You Joy. There's a little arrow there. You pull on it, and this pops up. It says, "Believe in the magic," and there's a cute little Christmas mouse there with a hat and a wreath. So the person who gets it will pull it up and get that surprise. And then on the inside we have Merry Christmas. And here are the dies that I used to make that card. I've used the frame pull pop-up, and on the first card that I demoed in my last video, and there's a link to that, I put that frame pull pop-up on the inside of the card, and on this one I put it on the front. I love this big Merry Christmas die, and I know it's going to be one of my favorites. I'm going to point out something that's kind of silly, but really, it's really well thought out. The dot of the eye is connected. I don't know how many dies I have where that isn't the case, and I have this tiny, tiny, tiny little dot of an eye that I cannot pick up or attach or find usually. And I love that the eye and this is connected. The Christmas Animals set is super cute, and I know I'm going to use Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as well. And then I use the Squares Crosshatch on the inside. When I add any shapes nowadays, I almost always use stitched or crosshatch. It just adds so much interest to the card. So once again, when the recipient receives it, it will say Wishing You Joy. Oh, I do want to point out that this Wishing You is from Memory Box, and this Joy is from Suzanne Cannon for Quiet Fire. And then when you pull on the arrow, the Christmas mouse stands up on that little pop-up piece, and Believe in the Magic is from Sue Wilson, and so that's a super cute card that I made with one of those new dies, some of those new dies. The House and Evergreen pivot panels dies assemble exactly the same way. So once again, you can watch the previous video in this series to see a demo on exactly how to assemble the inside of this card. So last time I used the houses, and this time I'm using the Evergreen pivot panels, but they assemble the same way, and it's really very easy to do. So on the front, I have Christmas Blessings, which is a die from Sue Wilson, and I've cut another oval with Karen Burniston's crosshatch dies. And when you open it up, look at that. Can you see that? It is a pop-up line of Christmas trees. I'm assuming from the top that you can see it's attached there and there, so it's really, really easy to attach. There's a video that Karen Burniston did that gave very good instructions, but all you really need to do is attach it in 4 places, and that pop-up works very easily. I decided to do embossing to add interest to the pivot panels, and so there's some snowflakes all along the background and pivot panels of those. And then I decorated the trees. I cut them out of Tonic Studios mirror card, and then I embossed those too, although once I decorated, the embossing is not all that visible, and again, I don't know what you can see here, but the gems that I used are new ones from Gina Marie Designs, and I am just loving those sets of gems. They come in small, medium, and large, and all sorts of colors. And then I added some strings, sticker strings too, so each tree is individually decorated. And then this little die is from Gina Marie Designs too, and it fit perfectly in there to write a little message and sign it. The third card that I created starts out with a pretty front, and it has a beautiful snowflake there, which is from Lil Inker. I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas is part of a set of stamps from Crackerbox Palace, and so the person receives it, and they've got this pretty card front, and then they open it up. I know I can get that to hang right. And it says, "But if the white runs out, I'll drink the red." And it is for a wine lover, and there is a charm attached in the center here, and in this set of dies, which is, so I'm using the wine charms from Karen Burniston's newest release, and this is the Charm Accordion Die Set. And it allows for hanging charms, and there actually are paper jump rings, and they work, okay? But I decided to use a metal one today, just in case when going through the mail, I wanted to make sure that that charm did not come off. And these are also made with those wine charms set. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. The stamp set that I wanted to use from Crackerbox Palace was a little too big for the standard die. So this is what the die looks like in that set. And typically these lines would cut and you'd end up with a smaller card, but you can extend it. So this is 2 panels and you can make it 4 or 6. But what I wanted was a longer front and inside that I could stamp these sentiments on. You know, sometimes you can cut your stamps apart, but there really was no way to do that with these stamps. So what I ended up deciding to do is I centered the die on the center of a 4 1/4 by 8 1/2 piece of cardstock, and I made sure that this line is centered in the middle of that, so I marked it there and there and taped it on. And then what you do for partial die cutting is you don't want the top plate to be over the line that you don't want to cut. Okay, so I don't want it to cut that end line, so I'm going to line my tangerine plates up to not cut that one. I also don't want it to cut the bottom one, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut down to here. I kind of put a piece of paper or tape to tell me to stop, and then I'm going to flip it, and then I'm going to cut the other side. So I'm going to come back in just a second. So I've done the partial die cutting, and like I said, normally this would have stopped along the end here, but I wanted to extend it to have a little bit larger card. So now I'm going to just finish those lines with my scissors. and now I have a longer card that sentiment will fit along the bottom, whereas before when it was this traditional size it would not. So look at your dies. Sometimes if they're not exactly the size that you want, you can do partial die cutting as long as that top glass does not cover what you don't want to cut. So now what we would do is take the centered charm piece and we're going to attach it there and there with a good strong glue. I used skinny tape the first couple times that I made this card, and when I came back to it later it had released. So I do recommend the fine tip bottle and good strong glue from Karen Burniston for sealing and keeping that to stay in place. And then the panels just flip, and I've chosen to cover the front one by just recutting it in the die with a navy piece of cardstock, and then I put a beautiful snowflake on there. And then on the inside I have put another white piece here and put the two glasses and the bottle. This charm is being stubborn, but it will hang freely in the center there. And of course the card says, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, but if the white runs out, I'll drink the red." These tags were from my creative time. So there is a very unique and cool card for a wine lover in your life. I hope you have enjoyed my series of 3 videos featuring the new dies and the latest release from Karen Burniston. And if you make some cards with any of her dies, please share a link to them in the comments. Thanks for watching, sharing, and subscribing, and thanks too for helping me share the joy of creativity.